Okay, okay now.
Good evening, FCC, and everyone joining us tonight for our very first community Zoom meeting. This evening discussion is both timely and vital, especially in the light of the recent devastating earthquake that struck Myanmar and Thailand, claiming many lives and affecting countless communities. Events like these reminds us of the importance of being prepared and knowing how to respond when disasters strike again. We honored to have with us a very special guest speaker. She is a lecturer at Thammasat University and a capacity building specialist in disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation. Please join me in warm welcoming Miss Gabrielle Iglesias.
Thank you for the kind introduction, Kim, and thank you for the invitation from my fellow community members here at FCC. I'm really happy to talk about disaster preparedness because this is an advocacy of mine for a long time, and I'm always worried how well we as overseas or Chiang Mai-based Filipinos are going to be able to rise up if ever we're stuck in a really, really bad situation here in Chiang Mai. So for my short presentation, I'm hoping that we will be encouraged to discuss how we can prepare ourselves. So then I've structured my talk to first give us some basic concepts so that we understand what disaster preparedness is all about. And then after that, we can discuss why it's important for our families and for us as an entire community, as well as we can try to identify what are issues that are unique to us as overseas Filipinos. Some of us are already based here in Thailand. Perhaps we're married to Thai people, or we are permanent residents. But most of us, I think, are passing through. This may be only one of the many countries we will work in throughout our productive life. And then how does that make us different from Filipinos at home and from the Thai who are here? And then with that, we can figure out how we can prepare ourselves, our families, and as a community in the event that we have a disaster here in Chiang Mai. So I hope this short outline is acceptable. And let me start with just some of the concepts that we use to discuss disasters. So I've been in the field since 2006. I first worked in an international NGO. And so what I'm going to tell you is what we call the perspective and the terminology, the jargon that we use in our field of disaster risk management. Okay. So hopefully it will clarify some ideas that you already have. Maybe also some of this will be new. So let me start with this short film depicting what disasters are like. Okay. So, as you can see from those short images, disasters are really very destructive and they can be quite deadly. And they always have an impact on people. Sometimes there are no deaths, but maybe it's our livelihoods, our income that are affected by disasters. So basically, when we talk about disasters, we're not talking about the hazard like an earthquake. We're not talking about the typhoon. We're not talking about the flood. We're talking about a large scale impact on a community. And it's so disruptive. Right? So then maybe there will be many deaths or injuries, or people lose their jobs, or like during the COVID-19 pandemic, lots of children were unable to benefit from school because it was interrupted for a long period. And not all countries were prepared to deliver education online. And most students didn't have the facilities to receive instruction online. So there can be different manifestations, different kinds of impacts of disasters. So it's not about the hazard, but the impacts that they have on our societies. So, just very quickly from the people who are online, can I have a reaction from you if you've already experienced a disaster before? First, in Chiang Mai, have you ever experienced a disaster in Chiang Mai? So, like last year's flooding. Maybe you can give me a thumbs up or a heart, so that I can see one thumb up. Ma'am Cora, you want to say something? So si Ma'am Lola,
Actually, I was looking for the I was I was looking for the thumbs up or
reaction.
whatever.
This is just a reaction button. There should be a reaction. Yeah. Okay. And so what about and then see Mongkar. Okay, great. What about in other places in Thailand? If anybody here experienced a disaster in other parts of Thailand?
Ako, I was in Bangkok when the big flood happened. Was it in 2011?
Yeah, yeah, 2011.
Yeah, and it lasted at my place. I was really in the middle of Bangkok.
Wow.
I think it lasted for 2 weeks at my place. Pero we were notified, we were warned like a few days before it happened. So parang may warning sila na this area, the flood will arrive in parang 3 days in ganyan. So I was able to vacate because it really flooded like the first floor of the building. It
Wow.
was so high.
Yeah, that was terrible. I was also there in Patuntani. Ma'am Cora, kayo po.
Actually, not in Thailand. Yeah, I was here during the flood, but the July, what is this? The July 16, 1990, what's this?
Earthquake, yung
The
earthquake.
earthquake, yeah. I was on the 19th floor of Citibank building, and
Oh,
yeah, and it was really scary.
yeah. So it's pumapagayway yung ano, yung building ninyo siguro.
Oo. I thought the building was going to collapse.
Yeah.
And ang naisip ko na lang is yung anak ko.
Oh,
I was also in the Philippines during the Pinatubo eruption.
yeah. Wow.
So,
Para
yung
pala tayong
dalawang,
survivor, ma'am.
yeah.
Ako din, I was also, I was in Quezon City, but ground floor lang naman po ako during the earthquake. Ma'am
Yeah,
Lolet? Sorry.
I was just surprised yung yung ash fall ng Pinatubo na dumating sa Manila, and it was very dark. And yung bubong ng bahay namin para siyang naging simento
Yeah, oh my gosh.
because of
Kasi
the thickness of the
nung natuyo
ash.
na siya, no? Yeah, actually
Yes.
that was quite dangerous because many roofs were not prepared for the weight. So ang daming ang
Yes.
nag-collapse noon ng mga bubong.
Yeah.
Ma'am Lolet?
Yes, I remember pala. I think I was very new in Chiang Mai when it happened. I used to live in the Supalay condo, the one in front of Central Festival, and we were on the 30th floor. So kami yung pinakamataas. Tapos there was an earthquake 5 years, 6 years ago. And
Uh-huh.
then yung sway niya, I think is like more than a meter ang sway
Wow.
niya, both
Wow.
sides. So it
Wow.
was so scary kasi
Yeah.
kasi
Yeah.
pag the more na higher ka pala, the more ang sway
Yeah.
than you are on the ground. But I think it's not that worse, just like what happened a few weeks ago. Hindi ganun katindi. But still, when you're way up there, ang lakas ng sway.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's possible that the building itself will survive, but if the furniture inside are not fixed, and then there are objects that can fall from the shelves, and then people get hit on the head, we can actually be severely injured. No? So yung 1 meter na yon can actually make a difference. It can injure people, especially kung baby or very young child ang tamaan sa ulo. Nako, malaki yung possibility na magka-concussion. So delikado talaga. Even if we feel that the earthquake was not strong, but it can still have considerable impacts. Yung iba hindi po nagtaas ng kamay. Baka sa Pilipinas kayo naka-experience ng disaster? Or wala pang na-experience yung iba?
Too young to remember siguro sila.
That would be nice if it's too young to remember. Okay. Well, maybe later on mag-share yung iba. So, yung gusto ko pong i-emphasize is that yung mga lindol, right? So earthquakes, floods, volcanic eruptions, they're natural. Some wildfires are also natural. Some forest fires, they can be caused by lightning strikes, halimbawa. And then yung mga tornado, those are all natural processes. Tsunamis are natural processes. So they're not disasters by themselves. But they can cause a disaster. So they will be part of a chain of events that will culminate in a disaster because the impact is so severe, we will feel it for a long time. So that's why we try to emphasize that disasters are not natural, they're actually a result of our choices. So like this map that you see on the screen, ano yan eh, yan yung map of Chiang Mai. And this was the flood hazard map last October here in the city. And that's based on what they know of the amount of water that was going through the river, the Ping River, and then the tendency of the areas around the river to float. So to flood. But what people don't remember is that the old city is called Chiang Mai, and which it means the new city because it used to be where the area is colored in red and orange. That's where Chiang Mai used to be located. And it got badly flooded, so the king at the time moved the city to the western part, which is the higher part. And so talagang bahain yung lugar na yan. But over time, I suppose people forgot, and then we started building houses there and other structures. So now this is a nice area along the river. There are lots of restaurants and hotels, and so they experience the flooding now. So that's part of the problem with disasters. We decide to put our investments in those areas that are actually exposed to different hazards, and we may not know it at the time that we make that decision. Okay, so that means that when disasters happen for several reasons, and we tend to categorize them in terms of hazards. So the kind of hazard that makes it happen, how strong that hazard is, and how frequently we experience it. It also is affected by exposure and vulnerability. But that does not mean that we are helpless. No, we actually have something that we could do, many things we could do to reduce the probability or the risk that disasters occur. And that's by raising our capacity to face the causes. Right? And for our discussion today, we're going to talk about disaster preparedness, which is one general category of capacities that we can do. So this is a positive thing. We should not feel helpless in the face of disasters. There are actually many things we could do so that the probability will not be high, and also so that we can raise the probability that we will survive and then bounce back from the negative experience. So with that, let me go to the next part, which is about disaster preparedness itself. So in order to do disaster preparedness, we have to first understand the hazard. So this is the negative thing that could cause a disaster. If we can deal with it properly, maybe it just causes an emergency. It won't be a disaster. Emergency siya because maybe it affects one family or one person, or maybe 2 or 3 people, right? It's a disaster if the impact is large. Yeah, so it's on the scale of a community now. And so what we need to understand is how the different hazards act so that they create their impact on us. So like an earthquake does not kill us, but the earthquake can shake a building so much that the contents inside, if they're not fixed well, can hit our head, and then that's how we die. Or the building will collapse on top of us, and that's how we get injured, or that's how we die. So it's most dangerous if we're asleep, because then we're not aware of what's happening. So we were lucky during the last earthquake, the major earthquake in Myanmar, because it happened during the daytime and people were actually alert. But if it were happening at night and the impact, the intensity, yung shaking was greater, then it could have been much worse for Thailand. And so just to let you know, there are many hazards that cause many different kinds of disasters. Some of them are natural processes, like flooding or typhoons or blizzards. Diyan sa Canada, they have blizzards. And then some of them are caused by people, created by people, like nuclear power plant leaks and arms, that are used for civil unrest or war. And then we build something like a bridge or a dam, and then the structure collapses. So that's also technological. So that's something people create. So in terms of Thailand's experience, I collected some data from an online database. So the data source is there on the lower right of the screen. So this is a global data set, and they collect from the official reports of different countries. So the data set from Thailand starts in 1962. And for the Thai experience, from that period, so that's about 62 years, including 1962, they've had 168 disasters. So that were caused by natural processes. So epidemics, drought, wildfire, earthquakes, flood, mass movement or landslide, extreme temperature. So I suppose here it'll be extreme heat. And then storms, including some typhoons. They also had some typhoons hit Thailand, but just a few. But we have a lot of storms, since, like in the Metro Bangkok, Pathum Thani, Ayutthaya area. So they suddenly unleash a lot of water, and there's a lot of wind. So we can see that the biggest problem in Thailand are floods from the natural hazard side. And then on the technological hazard side, it's mostly transport accidents. Okay, so in this data set, it's a disaster if it kills more than 10 people. So they standardize that around the world for their data set that they collect from all around the world. And then kung ikumpara natin sa Pinas, right, if we look at the Philippines, our data set starts earlier, mostly thanks to Ateneo, because of the Manila Observatory. They've been collecting a lot of data for a long time. And then in our profile, it's really typhoons. So yung storm at the lowest row on the left before the total, those are mostly typhoons that cause disasters in the Philippines. So 1/3, well, actually more than 1/3 are caused by typhoons. And then flood is the next category. So 1/6 of the data for naturally caused disasters are so floods. So we have typhoons and floods. And then for the technological hazards, transport din yung problema natin. But in the case, it's mostly maritime transports that's distinctive. So yung mga ferry na lumulubog and so on. What I want to show with the two slides is that the different countries will have different profiles. So as overseas Filipinos, we really have to study the country where we're based. And for those of us who'll be traveling to another country, please try to find out for yourself again, when you're at that new country, what the disaster profile is like. And then also for specific to the place where you're going to move, what the disaster profile is like there. So Chiang Mai is different from Bangkok, and it's different from Phuket, right? So we don't have tsunamis in Chiang Mai, at least not yet, wag sana mangyari. And then Bangkok is different from Phuket. It's possible, I suppose, no, it's not possible for Bangkok to have a tsunami. If they did, that'd be a really, really bad tsunami that reached all the way there. So it has a king tide problem, which we don't have in Chiang Mai because we don't have a coast, right? And Phuket does not have the king tide problem, but it does have the tsunami risk. So each place is different. So as overseas Filipinos, we need to study the place where we're going to move to so that we'll be better aware of what we need to protect ourselves from. And then when we know the hazards, we have to figure out how exposed are we? Are we going to experience it? So that's what exposure means, that we are situated, we are located in a place where we're going to experience that hazard. You know? So let me just show this video quickly. So yung point is that we have to figure out where we want to be and whether we're willing to invest in our own safety, because usually the safer land is the more expensive land. And then if we decide to live or place our factories or our office space somewhere where it's not so safe, then we may have to invest in our preparedness. Right? Yun yung trade-off. If we're going to knowingly move somewhere that is not so safe, then we should be prepared for possible disasters that will eventually happen. Meron ba ditong nanonood dati ng Game of Thrones? Kasi dun sa TV series na yun, meron silang laging sinasabi dun sa yung isang pamilya dun from the north. They will say, winter is coming, right? So they're always trying to prepare for winter, for a long winter. So they're always on this disaster preparedness mode. And so we just have to make that trade-off, right? If we're going to go live next to the Ping River, which floods, in a part that floods, then we have to be prepared to occasionally get our things wet, or maybe we even have to evacuate once in a while. So yun yung idea sa exposure. In terms of medical hazards, we can reduce our exposure by getting vaccination. But then there are some families who don't agree with vaccination. Okay, but then you have to be prepared that once in a while you will get sick kasi ma-expose kayo and you won't have a protection against that particular illness for which there is vaccination. So ganyan yung lagi yung trade-off. And then yung other aspect is vulnerability. There are just some things which are stronger. So houses made of strong materials versus weak materials. Houses that are built properly against strong winds versus houses that allow wind to come in. And so it gets destroyed from the inside. People who are malnourished, let's say, they can't afford nutritious food, or because of aging, we become weaker, right? We're less agile, so we become more vulnerable to, for example, being caught in a flash flood, which means we should avoid living on the slope of the hills here in Chiang Mai, kasi dito talaga we get flash flooding, there were some cases where resorts on the hill slopes, they got badly flooded. Some cars were swept away, so raragasa yung tubig pababa on the slopes. So we have to then build our resorts, build our homes and other infrastructure in such a way that it would be protected against the fast-flowing and highly damaging water. There are other aspects to vulnerability. There may economic aspect. Mayroon din community aspect, which I'm hoping to address through FCC. Right? If we're not prepared to help each other, if we don't know each other, we don't trust each other, that's also a vulnerability, because we could actually make our community a strength against disasters by being prepared. We plan for it and we help each other out, and we give each other information so that we would be able to protect ourselves and our families and our workplaces. Meron ding psychological aspect ng vulnerability. People who are who quickly panic or feel helpless or feel isolated, and so that's also a vulnerability. People who don't have faith, right? So, and then people who tend to have faith, who go to church, tend to be stronger. So malaking bagay yung religious function sa papalakas ng isang komunidad. So we could think about our vulnerability. Para if we know where we're vulnerable, we can address yung aspect na yan and make ourselves stronger there. And then yung capacity, which was yung positive note that I showed earlier. So we can raise our capacities individually or as families. We make sure we live in strong houses that follow building codes, right? So they have to be built well. It should not just look good. It should be built well, for the appropriate hazards in the vicinity. So dapat naka-incorporate yun sa building code. And in Thailand, that's the case. They have building codes appropriate for construction of condominiums, for example. And then eating healthy food, nutritious food, and exercising. These are also important, because then we're prepared to run, jump, or swim out of harm's way. And so on and so forth. Right? So we can basically prepare ourselves. So we should be like preppers, preppers against disasters. Okay. So then our preparations would address our exposure, and it would address our vulnerability, and it is for the hazards that are in our community. So we're not going to be preparing for blizzards because it doesn't happen here. Right? We don't prepare for tsunamis because they don't happen here. But we prepare for floods, we prepare for burning season, we prepare for fires, we prepare for traffic accidents, the occasional earthquake, mga yun, we prepare for that. For lightning storms, thunderstorms, hail. There was a hail warning this week and last week, so we also prepare for hail. Kasi malalaki din yung mga bato na nahuhulog, di ba, pag nag-hail. Okay. So that's the idea. Okay, I see there are more people that have joined us. Welcome, welcome. So now let me go to yung family and community preparedness part of the talk. And for those of you who just joined, I had actually first talked a little bit about the concept of disasters, and we were talking earlier about who experienced disasters and then why they happen. And now we're going to talk about how to prepare our families and ourselves as a Filipino community here in Chiang Mai. So when we talk about disaster preparedness, we're actually talking about being ready. Right? So we have to have logistical readiness. So we prepare food, we prepare medicines, we prepare clothing, we prepare equipment, right? And then we also build capacities. So we actually have several skills that we can learn, like how to evacuate. We can practice that. We could practice it with our families also. We build our capacities for being alert and situational awareness, assessing what's going on, and so on. And so who should be prepared for disasters? Well, it's not just the government of Thailand or the provincial government in Chiang Mai or the city government of Chiang Mai or the municipal government of Hangdong or Sampatong or Merim or so on. No? But it's also the organizations inside, so the private sector, the different companies here. Yung mga civic society, pwede rin sila tumulong. Yung mga religious organizations, pwede din sila maghanda. And then communities like us. So we're not a community that's the geography actually, kasi we're scattered throughout Chiang Mai, but we're still nevertheless a community by desire. We share our nationality still and our experience with disasters in the Philippines. And we have a desire to help each other out. And maybe we meet each other through church and other activities. So we feel bonded in a way. So we can help prepare ourselves. So when do we do disaster preparedness? Well, we should do it now, right? Before it is needed. Right? So then by the time there is a crisis going on, we have our medicines and our food and our water prepared. Because if a disaster hits and only then we're going to be scrambling to get food and medication and so on, we will be competing with other people who also were not prepared, and then they're frantically trying to do the same thing, stock up on what they need. Or maybe the disaster is so bad that we can't move out of our homes or where we were when it hit. We'll be isolated, right? So you're only going to be able to survive kung meron na kayo na ihanda, right? If you already stocked ahead of time. So you can stock at home. You can also stock at the workplace. Make sure you have something in both locations. Right? So why do we do this? So that we have something to help us survive and to help our family and our friends survive. And it's also a way to focus our energies so that we will be productive, right? We will be saving our food, our medication for then, saving money for that period. Also preparing ourselves mentally, right? We have a checklist of what we can do. And then when the disaster event strikes, we will be able to minimize some of the impacts, such as being cut off from clean water supply. If we have prepared water ahead, then we have something to drink, because one of the bigger problems during disaster is access to clean water. And if we don't have access, we run the risk of diarrhea or even cholera, right? So infectious diseases that thrive when we don't have clean water. So if you notice, importante to, importante itong point na to. Okay. So then I put together, this is a slide showing some of my ideas of what we can do as individuals and families versus what maybe we can do together as a Filipino community. So ito pinapropose ko lang. and then versus what a country could do to help the citizens inside. So then I think that as individuals and families, we can prepare, right? We can plan, and we can stockpile our safe drinking water and food and so on. We can exercise. So I was only 5 years old living in Manila at the time when we had a high risk of fire. And so my father, he was already teaching me how to climb down from my bedroom window, which was on the second floor, right? How to tie my bed sheets and blankets together and fix them to the grill of the window, and throw my mattress out to hit the ground below, and then climb out of the window and use the blankets, right, to lower myself to the ground so that I can escape in times of fire. And then he would drill me. He would keep me practicing. And this was important because fire at the time just spread so fast, right? So then he had to make sure that in case he or my mom could not get to me, I could save myself. So he didn't consider me too young. So even from that age, I was already thinking, I have to be prepared, I have to be prepared. And so I was trying to train my own son the same way, right? So we have to exercise our families too. And then we have to think about how we communicate with each other. During the earthquake in Myanmar, suddenly everybody was calling online when we felt the shaking in Chiang Mai, and lines stopped working for some period, right? Na-overwhelm yung cellular networks, yung internet, na-overwhelm sila. And that's what happens in a disaster. It's not that they're not working, it's just that everybody needs to use it at the same time. So how are we going to communicate with each other kung merong problema, kung merong ganyang disaster na nangyayari? And then where would we move? If you can't continue to live in Chiang Mai, where would you go? Right? Is there another place where you can live in Thailand for an extended period of time? In my case, I was also living here in the 2011 flood. I evacuated my family to Manila. Right? So I had a plan. I was always saving money. I always had enough money for 3 plane tickets to Manila. Bahala na yung pabalik sa Thailand. But at least meron akong papuntang Manila. No? And I had a place to stay in Manila, my mom. I could stay with my mom. I brought my family there. So meron na akong backup. So kailangan lahat tayo may backup. Where would we go in event of an emergency? And then as a community, maybe we can also help each other out in these times. Maybe some people will be not affected. Halimbawa, baha or lindol, hindi naman naapektado yung bahay nila. Maybe we can offer our house so we can have some kind of agreement to help each other out. That's something we could do as a community. We can help each other plan, we can help each other exercise, practice kumbaga. We can encourage each other. We can even come together and then we can do a family preparedness planning workshop. Pwede sabay-sabay tayo and then iikot ako from table to table to help people do their preparedness planning, something like that. And then of course, yung mga bansa, especially those who are active sa disaster risk reduction, meron din silang mga ginagawa. So lahat ng nilista ko dyan, may ginagawa yung mga bansa. So this applies to Thailand as well. So there's a lot that we could actually do to prepare for disasters. So why do we need to do it? So that when there's a crisis, we would have a direction. We would know where to go. We know who could help. We know where we would get the information that we need. We would be able to connect with the embassy quickly as a community, kilala nila tayo, right? So then they will know, okay, we have to help them. Okay, these are people from the Chiang Mai Filipino community. And then maybe if we talk at the same time, if we come together and try to plan at the same time, we can figure out, oh, we have the same problems pala. Right? In my case, I want to know who lived near me. Taga-Hangdong ako. Sino pa ba ang taga-Hangdong? Kung may mangyari dito, saan ako pwede lumikas sa Hangdong, right? And then who else in Hangdong can come to me if they need a place to stay, right? So we can help each other out. And then we can share information. Itong Lindo lang, ang daming fake news na lumaganap. Ganun din nung COVID, may mga fake news na lumalabas, right? Hindi nakakatulong. Lagi niyang experience tuwing may disaster. Nung tsunami din, ang daming fake news na nangyari. Sometimes people panic. May nagsasabi na, oh, may tsunami. Wala naman pala. Meantime, meron nasaktan dahil nag-stampede. So we have to look for information that is reliable, and then we need to be able to share it. So share it responsibly. Tapos, we also need to protect yung mga nangangailangan ng extra help among us. So yung mga bata, yung mga may edad na, yung mga tao na merong chronic illnesses, and then also people with disabilities. Usually when evacuation plans are made and early warning or warning systems are designed, the assumption is that people can easily move out of the way, or people can hear the alerts or see the alerts. Paano kung may visual impairment or hearing impairment or hindi makalakad yung tao, right? So then they will need extra help. So we could, as a community, identify who needs extra help, and then we can figure it out together. We can also decide to do fundraising for ourselves, bakit hindi, to help us prepare for disasters. So ito yung mga suggestions ko lang and ideas ko po. For the family emergency preparedness plan, so I was looking at different examples around that I gathered from the Philippines, from the US, from UK, Canada. And so in general, it's a plan, right? So then as a family, you should agree on where you would meet in case you're separated when something happened. And so there's a major crisis, and then you can't reach each other by cell phone, right? But kasi down yung mga mobile network, or everybody's using it. Hindi makakonect. So it would be good if you have a plan in place already. So this could include meeting locations. It could include access to yung mga copies ng passport ninyo and other documents that you need in Thailand. Yung mga phone numbers, dapat nakaprint yan. Kasi ako hirap na mag-memorize at my age. So, or rather, I can memorize something and then hindi ko na ma-recall. Hindi ko na ma-retrieve. So yung mga phone numbers, yung mga address ng school, yung mga workplace, right? So mga ganyang information pwede natin ihanda, print out. Insurance information, and so on. And then you can also prepare yung stockpile nga, and even grab bags. So if you have to evacuate, nakahanda kayo to evacuate. Hindi kayo on the spot mag-i-empake. Right? Dapat meron ng nakahanda. And so yung multiple re-entry permit, that could also be part of your plan. So these are things that you can consider. And so in the disaster preparedness kits specifically, you should have enough water. And my computation yan, 3 to 4 liters per person. And that's for drinking and preparing food and other needs like brushing your teeth, and walang shower pag may disaster usually. But at least you can get a small face towel, naspo na lang. And then also for other cleaning needs, no? Pag magbabanyo, for example. So may computation, like 4 liters per day. Non-perishable food. So those of you who have experienced surviving typhoons in the Philippines, kung ano yung kinakain natin sa Pinas pag walang kuryente dahil may bagyo, yun. Mga dilatang sardinas, etc. And then yung mga radyo, para nakakatanggap tayo ng announcement, yung nga lang intay. So we'll need, I suppose that's applicable for people who have Thai family members or Thai-speaking family members. But then you can use your mobile phones to access the internet and get information that way. So then prepare power bank din, tsaka UPS. Then of course, yung mga first aid kit, just in case people get injured, right? Yung mga whistle or flags to attract attention pag meron dumadaan na taga DDPM para masaba tayo, right? I'm here, para makita kayo. And so on. So we will share the slides, and I also put yung resources at the end, so you can read on your own and decide for yourselves. So yan yung disaster preparedness kit. So the idea is you have this ready in case you have to be isolated, right? Not by choice, but yung circumstance has isolated you. Hindi kayo kaagad makalabas from where you are. Hindi kayo kaagad ma-rescue, right? Dahil sa nangyari. So kung meron kayo nakahandang ganyan, if you have a disaster preparedness kit, you should be able to survive. So depending on how much you stock, you can set a target 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 1 week of isolation. Okay. And then the other one is the go bag, which is something that you can grab and go. Other people call it grab bag. So grab bag or go bag. So grab and go. So then you can put your passports there, yung mga copies of important documents, and then print out of your emergency plan and contacts. You can also prepare an e-go bag, right? I-upload nyo sa cloud yung mga scans ng important documents. So I found a very nice video from the Philippines on what every go bag should contain. So let me play that now.
Narito ang kailangan laman ng isang go bag. Una, pagkaing hindi agad basta napapanis. Pinakapraktikal na ilagay sa go bag ang 1 litrong tubig, biskwit, at dilata. Maaari itong dagdagan, depende sa pangangailangan ng pamilya. Ikalawa, sa dapat na ilagay sa go bag ang first aid kit. Sakaling masugatan o magkasakit ang pamilya, mahalagang magkaroon ng first aid kit na naglalaman ng bandage, panlinis ng sugat tulad ng povidone iodine solution at mga gamot. Ikatlo, mahalagang isama sa survival bag ang tools. Maaaring magamit ang mga tools gaya ng gunting, kutsilyo o Swiss knife sa iba't ibang sitwasyon, maging sa pagluluto o kaya pagtatayo ng iba't ibang istruktura. Dapat ding maglagay ng lubid o tali sa bag. Ikaapat na kailangang ilagay sa go bag ay ang hygiene kit. Mahalagang manatiling malinis ang katawan upang makaiwas sa sakit. Dahil dito ay kailangan maglagay ng sipilyo, toothpaste, shampoo, sabon at tissue sa bag. Ikalima, maglagay din sa bag ng pera, ID at importanteng dokumento. Siguraduhin may dalang pera upang may kakayahang makabili ng mga kailangan sa panahon ng sakuna. Mabuti rin magkaroon ng pagkakilanlan ang bawat miyembro ng pamilya sa panahon ng sakuna. Kaya kailangan magdala ng ID at mahalagang dokumento. Ika-6, power bank. Mahalagang may power bank para hindi agad maubusan ng baterya ang cellphone at iba pang electronic devices na magagamit upang makausap ang mahal sa buhay, pati na ang ibang tao. Ika-7, ilaw at radyo. Posibleng mawalan ng kuryente sa panahon ng sakuna, kaya kailangan na maglagay ng flashlights at posporo sa go bag. Mainam din kung makakapagdala ng radyo dahil mahalagang may mapagkukuhanan tayo ng impormasyon sa panahon ng sakuna. Kapag naisalansan na ang mga gamit na ito sa go bag, ilagay ito sa lugar sa bahay kung saan madali itong makukuha ng sinumang miyembro ng pamilya. Tandaan, pagkaing hindi basta napapanis at tubig na malinis, first aid kit, tools, hygiene kit, pera, ID at importanteng dokumento, power bank, ilaw at radyo ang dapat laman ng inyong mga go bag.
Okay. So, yung go bag nakikita ninyo doon sa image, backpack lang yan usually. Especially kung meron kayong mga malilit na anak, kailangan libre yung mga kamay ninyo. You need to be able to hold on to your kids. So it's better to use a backpack. But you can also use yung mga sports bag. Make sure na matibay yung mga bag na gagamitin ninyo. Hindi madaling masira. And then additional tips, patapos na po yung aking presentation. Eat healthy, stay fit, so that anytime there's a crisis, you are physically ready, right? In addition, try to be friends with your neighbors because they will help you in times of a crisis, right? Pangatlo, save money for sudden evacuations like what happened to me during the Thai flood. I had to evacuate my family and I evacuated to Manila. So buti lang I had enough money for 3 plane tickets one way. And then prioritize your family and then your documents and then medication. Mahirap tawag dito, replace ng mga dokumento. And we will need certain documents to get identification like passports released. No? Yung medication pwede nyo naman bilhin kahit saan. But make sure you have enough for a few days in your go bag and in your preparedness kits. And the most important thing is to stay positive because preparedness means that we will be able to hurdle many of the obstacles that are thrown at us during a major crisis, right? And then we stay positive so that we can help ourselves. We don't panic, right? And then we'll be better able to see problems and see how we can resolve them. There's some emergency numbers that I got thanks to FCC, i-share. So ito yung numbers to call for ambulance service, for any general emergency, and for fire, to report a fire. I think in Bangkok, yung fire number for fire is also the number for reporting snake bites because they have a big snake problem in Bangkok. Ito yung Philippine Embassy contact information. They have a specialized section for assistance to nationals. Thank you din po sa FCC for the information, right? So you can print this out and keep this with you or include it in your family preparedness plan so that if we need to, we will be able to easily get help from the embassy. And they did help a lot of Filipinos during the 2011 floods and in other occasions, like the 2008 red shirt versus yellow shirt conflict. And then this is a list of the resources that I recommend for the preparedness kit and for the go bag. So there's an English and Tagalog version from FEMA in the US. And then the last 2 bullet points, these are materials on Thailand. So the DPM Act in 2007, which created the DDPM. So that's their act on disaster prevention and mitigation. And then the last bullet is the National Disaster Risk Management Plan. So if you're interested, Thailand does have a plan. This is their updated version. And then just a few, 2 more slides. To at least minimize the impacts of some of the hazards in Chiang Mai, to avoid being affected by smog or the PM 2.5 pollution, you can consider adding more plants and don't burn the garden clippings or agricultural waste. Try not to cut down trees if you're going to start a new farm or start a new resort or build a new home, especially in sa forest area. Try to change factory processes to avoid using oil and fossil fuel. Then you don't add to the smog. Switch to hybrid or electric vehicles if you have to buy a vehicle next. Do a medical checkup before and after burning season. Use protective equipment and air filters. So by protective equipment, yung mga N95 mask, for example. And if you can, evacuate during burning season. I know people who leave Chiang Mai for a month, maybe 2, during burning season, because it is linked to cancer and respiratory illnesses. For the floods, try to find a flood risk map if you're going to decide to buy land here in Chiang Mai. You should know where it floods. Know the reason for the floodings. If it's on a slope, usually it's flash flood. If you're next to the rivers, then you can expect riverine flood. But there's also a case of exfiltration, like here in my neighborhood in Hangdong. The flood comes from the drains, comes up out of the drains. So that can also happen. And then if you know you're living in an area which is flood prone and you don't mind that, consider your safety against electrocution. So baka you have to raise yung electrical outlets. Or if possible, don't live on the ground floor, live on the second floor. Right? And then prepare for evacuation from upper stories. This was a problem in the 2011 floods in Bangkok. Maraming hindi maka-evacuate, na trap sila sa second floor, hindi sila makalabas ng second floor. So they changed their homes later on so that they could actually escape from the second floor. And then from earthquakes, if you're about to build a structure like a home or a farm structure or an office building, then try to get a structural engineer to look at the blueprints before you start building para maka-input siya sa design phase pa lang. Because there are some shapes that are not good, right? So like a swimming pool in the middle of a high-rise or skyscraper, that's not a good idea. And as we saw in Bangkok, on the top floor is really not a good idea. And then build following the building code for earthquakes here in Chiang Mai. And if you're going to save money, don't save on safety. That's actually where you should invest. When you're already in the building and using it, you should consider not having chandeliers or anything that nakasuspend from the ceilings that may sway during an earthquake, get detached and fall down and hit somebody. Right? Same goes for cabinets. Siyempre, we like yung mga abubot. Right? Sometimes the abubot is very heavy. And so if there's intense shaking, it can slip off the shelf and hit people on the head. So it's fine if it's going to fall just on the floor, but avoid putting those cabinets with a heavy abubot or shelves with abubot right over where you sleep. Because if an earthquake happens and you're sleeping and then you get hit on the head, makonkas kayo, hindi kayo magigising. Right? So avoid that possibility. And the other thing is don't damage the load-bearing columns and walls of the building. Don't drill into it, not even for a beautiful picture. Right? Do not damage those walls and columns. If possible, and I know that many of the rental contracts don't allow it, but so if possible, if you're going to have cabinets which are loose and they're tall, drill to connect them to the walls so that if there's an earthquake, they shake with the walls. They're not going to fall down. They won't topple down. And then if you're going to stock it, put the heavy items on the bottom part and then the light items on the top, not the other way around. Okay? Kasi pag top heavy, mas nahuhulog. And for infectious diseases, consult medical professionals regularly, keep fit and healthy, vaccinate if possible and appropriate for your age and so on. Kasi sometimes hindi pwede pag vulnerable na. Wash your hands before eating or before touching your face kasi usually yan yung transmission ng mga pathogen sa kamay. Isolate the sick from other family members and so on. Maintain personal hygiene, etc., etc. So you'll get a copy of these slides, and then anyway, you can find this information online then. Okay, so that's my last slide, and then I think if we don't need an energizer, we can go straight to the discussion. So thank you for your patience and listening to my ideas.
Okay, so at this moment, I think we can open the discussion if our members has things to add or can share their experiences during like the recent earthquake or maybe the flooding that happened last year. They can do so. Maybe just raise your hand so Miss Gabriel can recognize you.
Or Cora Wood, do you have questions?
Right now, I don't have questions. About the radio, kasi hindi na uso yata yung radio ngayon, ano? Pero kailangan yung communication kasi nga wala tayong cellphone pagka walang power.
Mabuti na po yung may backup. Yung nga lang, kailangan natin makahanap ng English channel. English
Yun na
station
nga,
dito.
another thing, yes.
Yeah. So it's
No,
really,
meron pa rin. May nabibili pa rin ng mga portable na radios na rechargeable. May nakikita ako na parang mga less than 500. But, it's good to know na you can use these things and then you can purchase these things also online. When it happens, you might need it.
Parang sa city ata, parang wala na nakikinig ng radyo. Pero sa mga bundok na mga tao, yung doon sa rural, yung sa probinsya, marami. Pero sa syudad, parang hindi na uso ang radyo, no?
yung ibang
Hindi
cellphone,
kasi sometimes.
meron ding radyo. So you can
Oo.
decide pag bibili kayo ng cellphone, bili kayo ng mobile phone na smart na, pero may radio
May radyo.
capability pa siya.
Oo,
Yes,
meron.
I think sometimes na-affect yung Wi-Fi frequency
Oo nga.
especially pag may storms at saka yung yung
Hindi siya na,
nabo-bombard
oo.
with messages.
Oo.
Hindi nagwo-work just like the earthquake. Parang a few minutes na hindi nagwo-work
Oo,
yung messaging. So, baka naman kailangan. It's good to know. I mean, when you have it's good to know that it's in your go bag.
Yes, so yun nga, maganda na may radyo, may battery, may tent, no? Kailangan ba ng tent? Pag nawasak ang bahay mo, pwede kang mag-tent. Di ba?
It's heavy. It's heavy
Heavy
to
ba?
yeah, to grab yung madalian.
Yung iba, meron din silang
Yung camping tent.
go bag sa kanilang mga kotse.
Oo, no?
So,
Yes, no?
meron din silang additional dun. So, meron silang extra.
Tapos maging friendly sa mga kapitbahay. Para kung humingi ng tulong, madaling malapitan, di ba, no?
Hindi sila magtataka, who are you? Diba? Sino ka? Dapat nakapag-introduce na tayo.
At saka magsimba, no, sa church para din kung walang friends, at least may church na malalapitan.
Si Ma'am Rachel gusto
Nasa church ka
yata
ba, Kim?
mag-hello.
Yes, I'm Rochelle.
Hello?
Yes, saan ka?
Nasa church ka pa? Malis
Oh,
na
nasa
ako. Anyway, I would like to
May-
add,
Yes,
important
please.
din na meron tayong, ang tawag dun yung pito. Ano ba sa English ng pito?
Whistle. Yes, I
Whistle.
have it.
Whistle. Yeah, it's one of the, kailangan na, in case, di ba, yung meron siyang, at least, pwedeng pantawag in case of emergency.
Oo.
I think nandun naman yun sa go-to bag ni ma'am.
Okay.
Opo, Ma'am. Kasi minsan wala na tayong boses eh. So, kung meron tayong pito, malaking bagay yan. Tsaka malayo yung nararating ng tunog.
Si Adenya. Oo. So, salamat sa mga information, Miss Gabriel, no?
Sige,
lahat ng
I will
mga-
share while
Oo.
waiting for others. Maybe others wants to add also. So,
si Karen, si Darwin, si Michael.
Kim,
That-
I wanna say something.
Okay,
So,
President.
So it's really good yung nakuha ko ng mga points kay Miss
Oo.
Gabriel na awareness of your area is very important, especially like kung saan ka titira, na kung ano ba yan, prone to flooding ba yan, but sometimes you have reasons why you are there. So at least if you cannot move somewhere safer, it's good to know na may you are prepared and you have a plan of like what to do or where to go in case a disaster happen. Like ako, coming to Chiang Mai, I didn't know na may earthquake pala sa Chiang Mai. So I lived on the 30th floor. And then yun na nga, nag-earthquake and then ang lakas ng ano niya, ng sway niya. So it prompted me to move to lower grounds. Kaya lumipat ako sa bahay. So yun yung mga ano mo na when you experience it already, so you can plan na next time, ano ba, saan ba ang safer, ganyan. And it's important also na may kilala ka ngang neighbors or yung kahit na mga kababayan na yun know, na matatakbuhan or matatawagan mo na in case you need help. So like ako during the flooding, I had a friend who stayed at my house kasi nga flooded na yung area nila. So it's really important na may ganun ka, na may backup plan ka na in case disaster strikes. So yung sa FCC naman, I wanna talk a little bit about what we did during the flooding last year. uh, Nag-ano kami, may fundraising kami na we distributed financial help for those affected by the flood. And then it's very difficult kasi na mangalap ng ng donation from people na wala pang disaster. So ginagawa namin ang fundraising when it's already happening. Hindi namin pwede ma ah, mabuo ang fund ahead of time. But I mean, still we were able to distribute it. So it's very significant, important yung itong discussion, itong talk ni Miss Gabriel kasi it gives us a message na we have to be self-sufficient and we have to be prepared ourselves na kung may makuha tayong notice or warning from the government or yung mga credible resources, then we can plan ahead and save ourselves, not really waiting for others to help us. But sometimes we really need help from others, but at least on our own, we are already prepared. So also during the earthquake recently, we did a donation drive to our brothers and sisters in Myanmar who are affected by the earthquake. So these are the little things that we can do kasi ang FCC naman is just a social community. We are not parang legal entity talaga. We are just like um parang organized lang na social community in Chiang Mai. But it's good to know na meron tayo, may ganito tayo. Kasi yung mga Filipinos, at least alam nila, FCC, pwede nating mapuntahan or, magtanong or whatever, ganyan. So, yung what we can do also sa FCC is just send out alerts and warnings to our members through our social media platforms. So we get it from the English News Online, and then also we ask Thai friends to forward to us informations, and then we share it to the community if necessary. So, ang daming na-share ni Miss Gabriel na ano yung
Yes, madami.
magagawa namin. So, I I I hope may may maidagdag pa ang iba para naman
Simula
Ah.
ngayon,
Let me i-add lang sana ako. I'm not sure whether na-discuss na to. Biglang nagpop-up lang siya sa mind ko kasi we have friends na naka-experience na, of course, God forbid na buong pamilya or majority ng pamilya in case of may mga aksidente or sakunang ganyan is madeds. I mean, mamatay. Importante na meron tayong confidante or may tawag na legal term yan sa bank na siya yung nakakaalam, may access na mga importanteng tao sa buhay natin sa Philippines or immediate relatives na masasabihan kung ano at ano man ang mangyayari sa atin. Kailangan meron tayong yung siya yung
emergency
nakakaalam
contact,
ng
you mean?
lahat. Yes, emergency, hindi lang kasi minsan, what if lahat kayo nawala, 'di ba? Alam mo yun? I mean, hindi naman natin sinasabi yung mangyayari, pero kailangan handa ka talaga kung ano yung mangyari, lalo na wala tayong sarili nating
contact.
bansa.
Yes,
So,
that's really
kailangan
important,
talaga na meron
Rachel.
tayong kapitbahay,
Oo.
katokayo, and best friend, na alam yung
Ah,
access ng ba. I mean,
wag,
hindi mo naman
wag,
kailangan sabihin na mga password, pero at least alam kung ilan yung properties mo, ano yung gamit mo, saan ka nakatira, your personal things na makakatulong in case na makipag-communicate sila sa Philippines. So,
at saka,
no man is an island, ika nga, pero
at,
importante talaga yon, lalong-lalo na sa panahon ngayon na we don't know what will happen in the future eh.
Kaya wag
Diba?
wag natin
May
i-lock.
tawag legal term yan sa Philippines eh, parang ano,
Rochelle.
actually I have a friend na yun yung ginawa ko. Kung ano man mangyari sa akin, yeah. So itong friend ko, kung ano man mangyari sa akin, alam niya lahat ang gagawin. Parang gano'n. Hindi ko naman sinasabing, mag-ano ka na ng last will testament. Pero kung kaya mo naman, why not? You know, kailangan, kasi ang hirap niyan, lalong-lalo na may nangyari sa'yo tapos hindi alam na mga kasamahan mo sa bahay kung saan kukunin yung pera. Kumbaga, namatay ka na lang, nagbigay ka pa ng problema sa ano mo, sa kapamilya mo. Hindi natin, I mean, ako nagiging practical tsaka open lang ako sa mga ganyang bagay. Pero it's a must eh, lalo na sa ngayon. 'Di ba?
Oh, that's
Kay-
important also if you
Ayun
have
lang
a
po.
trusted friend.
Bigla
Kaya-
napaisip si Kim. Ano kaya
kaya
pwede ko i-share?
Kaya wag mo i-lock, kaya wag mo
That's the
i-lock
word,
ang Facebook
trusty.
mo.
Trusty talaga.
Diba? Kasi most
Ha?
ng mga tao, most ng mga tao nagla-lock ng Facebook. Kaya i-unlock ang Facebook para kung may problema about sa iyo, pwede kang mag-message doon in public. Wag
I
mo
think yung
i-lock
mga
yung
naglalak
Facebook
ng
mo. Wag
Facebook
kang
is either
magtago.
may yung mga naglalak ng Facebook, I believe. Sorry yun yung may maraming utang, maraming kabit, or may mga kinakatakutan, mga ganyan. Hindi ko naman nilalahat. Pero it's our free will naman. It's our own privacy. Lahat naman tayo may free will. So, kanya-kanyang diskarte sa Facebook. Pero yun nga,
Oh.
we
Good
need a
girl.
trustee in
Good
our
girl.
life.
Good idea.
Good input.
Thank you.
Oh.
So anyone else?
Si
Hindi.
Michael John. Andyan ka pa ba, Michael John? Wala. Sino pa ba ito? Gistone Alarcon. Gistone Alarcon? Wala
Oo,
rin.
dyan sa inyo, just Tony, sa, grabe ang baha. Ano nga yung area mo? Yung sa Madri?
Karen, ano ito? Karen Wood? Ay, sino ito?
Karen Hood. Binigyan mo ko ng pangalan.
Ni-mix up na ni
Can
Kim.
I add something?
Yes, please.
Okay. Because I'm actually based in Taiwan right now.
Okay.
I recently experienced earthquake here, and I experienced earthquake in Philippines, also in Thailand, and here. And I experienced many earthquake drills back in the Philippines and in Thailand. And when I got here, it's different. Okay, because in Philippines and in Thailand, you have to, duck cover and hold, during the earthquake, and then wait for the earthquake to stop, then rush outside. But here in Thailand, it's a different thing. In Taiwan, it's
In
different.
Taiwan.
Yeah, because I did the same thing, like I duck cover and hold during the earthquake, and then when the earthquake stopped, I rush outside the building, and then I just realized I'm the only one outside in the building. So all of the Taiwanese, my neighbors, are just staying indoors. So I was really confused, like, oh, I'm the only one outside the building. Why they are not outside? And it was a bit strong earthquake. So after that day, I asked my colleagues at school, and they told me, like, Diane, it's safer to stay indoors than rushing outdoors right away after the earthquake, because you are more prone to injuries and stuff. So I learned that, for all of my experiences back in the Philippines and in Thailand, it's a different way here.
It's different in every area.
Yeah, so it feels like, I should follow what they are doing here. So I learned something here about dealing with earthquake or after the earthquake. So
Kasi earthquake prone din ang Taiwan, di ba?
Yes, yes. So maybe they are used to it, so that's why they are not panicking anymore. Okay, or they know what to do better than other countries. So that's what I've learned here so far in terms of dealing earthquakes.
So dyan sa Taiwan, pag nag-earthquake, they want you to stay inside.
Stay
Yeah.
put.
Yeah, stay
Wag
put
kang lumabas.
unless an authority will ask you to go out.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
ay
it has
talaga.
to do. I think it has to do with the way they construct their buildings. Na they trust that their building will withstand a
Fire.
category.
Could
Yeah,
be,
a 8 or 9. Whereas in other countries, hindi mo matras na kayang mag-withstand ng magnitude 8
yeah, could
or
be.
9.
Mm.
Oh.
So, same thing when during the July 16,
wood.
1990 earthquake in the Philippines, you know, the Filipinos were all going down para makalabas ng building, and the Japanese sa Mitsui company, they were all going up to the rooftop kasi yun ang training nila. Akyat sa taas because
Kakaiba pa.
in case mag-collapse ang building, andun sila sa taas.
Yes,
Gagawa
yes.
Whereas
Okay.
kami, pag nag-collapse yung building, andun kami sa pinakailalim ng
Oo.
So different, different
Places.
training.
Yeah, training.
Well,
So,
sa Japan kasi sanay sila sa mga skyscrapers, ano? So kung mag-collapse nga siya, ay maiipit yung mga sa gitna. Huwag naman
yeah,
mangyari. Yeah, pero
yun
malakas nga ang construction practice in Taiwan and in Tokyo. So they design the buildings usually to collapse in a certain way, where it will stay stable for a few minutes and then you can evacuate. Kasi if everybody panics and evacuates into the street, hindi na makakadaan yung mga firemen, yung mga ambulansya, makaklog yung mga kalsada. So, but yun nga, maganda nga yung kanilang construction. Maganda po yung point ni Ma'am Cora.
Okay.
So let's end this meeting. So on behalf, magpipicture muna.
Yeah.
Mag-ano muna ako.
I-on
Mag-closing,
lahat ng camera.
mag-closing
Oo.
remarks muna ako to end.
Opo.
Okay, on behalf of the Filipino community in Chiang Mai, I would like to extend our thanks to our guest speaker, Ms. Gabriel Iglesias, for sharing your valuable knowledge and information on disaster management. Your insights were incredibly helpful, especially in guiding us on how to better prepare and plan in times of disaster. So we hope that our members were able to take away important pointers and feel more equipped than before. So for those who joined in late or were not able to join us tonight, don't worry, we are recording this discussion and it will be posted to our FCC social media platforms. You'll be able to watch it at your convenience and you can share it with your family and friends as well. So thank you to everyone who made the time to join us tonight from Thailand, Philippines, Taiwan, and the other places around the world. I wish you all a blessed and joyful Easter weekend. Ano pala, Easter pala ngayon. Enjoy this time with your family and friends and please stay safe. Good night everyone. So ano na Kim?
Picture.
Ano tayo, picture tayo.
Oh, picturean. 1, 2, 3.
is someone taking a picture?
Ako po,
Yes.
I took a couple, tsaka si Kim yata.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Salamat, Miss
Thank you
Gabriel.
so much, Miss Gabriel.
Sana hindi lang
Good
ito yung
night.
last, no? Yung last, sana may kasunod pa.
Opo, kung gusto,
Oo.
basta i-organize niyo po, lagi naman ako handa.
Pag may mga bagong pag may mga bagong kaalaman, let us know, Miss Gabriel.
Opo.
Miss
Let's
Gabriel,
see the
salamat.
reaction of the members also and maybe we can plan another session if need be.
Opo. Okay. Thank
Okay,
you very
thank you
much.
everyone.
Good evening. Good
Good
morning.
Good evening. Good morning sa akin. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.